And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, we saw B Gaming just stomp the heck out of Team Efficiency in a very surprising manner. I thought the game was going to be a little bit closer, but it did end up going 5-0 in favor of B Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, surprising in the way that it turned out, right? 5-0. I mean, not surprising in the fact that B Gaming was actually able to pull off a win there because they were coming into today looking like a very strong team, and it definitely seemed like Team Efficiency should be able to, B Gaming rather should be able to take it to Team Efficiency there, and of course they did. So not a huge surprise, the result, but the manner in which it came out definitely was a little bit surprising. Heading over to the next matchup, though, Meltdown and Caren Tiger. This one, again, it's kind of one of those ones where it could be close or it could be a blowout. Depends on who turns up in the day. For me, coming into this one, Meltdown overall are just looking like a much better team. They're sitting currently in the second position on the ladder. And Caren Tiger, they had some pretty average performances of late. They've lost to B Gaming twice in a row, so that wasn't great for them. And Meltdown, they come off a pretty good win yesterday as well over the Dark Horse, 5-3. I think Meltdown should be able to close this one out, though. I expect it's going to be reasonably close.
We'll have to see just how they go ahead and do that, because we have seen a lot of interesting games today. A lot of unique wins. We saw some crazy hills capture steals. We saw some 1v1s that went down to the nail-biting finish. Saw some games just stolen straight out from one another. So tonight has delivered, and I'm hoping this game delivers some more.
I think it will. My prediction overall is going to be a 5-3 here. I think Caren Tiger's good enough to get a few rounds, but I still think Meltdown's going to get a pretty not convincing win, but a comfortable win, I suppose, is where I want to go with this one. So, when we look, I guess, across at the map pool, I think the first map is a little interesting for me to see that one coming out, Himmelsdorf. That is far and away the worst map for Meltdown, and I'm surprised that they actually let it get through here, considering it's one of Caren Tiger's good maps as well. Would have expected that one would have been vetoed away straight away, but of course Caren Tiger are going to pick that up if it's available, and so why not? I can expect to see potentially a 2-0 coming out there for Caren Tiger. I think they'll need the 2-0 if they want to challenge Meltdown here.
That's a great point. We'll have to see if they can make their Himmelsdorf weaknesses seem a little less apparent and try their best to kind of conceal that one away, because starting a game 0-2, it is a little bit rough. We saw that in the second series of tonight that happened, and eventually they were able to win it in the end, the team that went up 2-0, so taking over Coalition Zoo. So if Caren Tigers can get off to an early lead, they may be able to carry that momentum through the rest of the series.
Yeah, potentially. But, I mean, when I look across at the rest of the map pool, Steps, the second map, I think that one could go to a 1-1, potentially. Caren Tiger can pick up the defensive side of Steps. But Ghost Town, that's very much a Meltdown-favoured map for me. And then Ruinberg as well is a very much favoured Meltdown map for me as well. So I think overall, Meltdown probably just have an extra map here, which should favour them overall throughout the four, and then Steps to be, a bit of a 50-50. So, I still feel like Meltdown, again, going to have a pretty good performance in this one.
Well, the odds are definitely stacked in their favour, so all they need to do is play some great World of Tanks, and should be easy pickings for them. So, of course, on the side of Caren Tigers, though, what can they do to kind of turn around some of these disadvantageous map picks to kind of make them work in their favour?
I mean, to be honest, we have seen Caren Tiger with a very... They have a penchant for making it to the tiebreakers, right? So it's not surprising potentially to see a tiebreaker coming out here. And if Meltdown has an off day, which we have seen them have quite a few times of late, Caren Tiger is definitely going to be able to pounce on that. I mean, Caren Tiger, they're not a bad team. That's very much something that I feel like I've been really selling them a little bit short here. But they're currently
they're a great team.
Coming into this week, they were sitting in number 4. They've had some very good performances lately. Yeah, sure, they had a difficult day yesterday against EL, going down 5-0, but it is EL Gaming. And so going up against Meltdown, this is going to be an easier opponent for them. And they definitely have the potential to bring this to Meltdown and pick up a win, or even just take it to the tiebreaker, something like that. There is going to be a lot of factors that are going to have to fall into place, I think, for them. Like, the maps they have gotten onto, maybe not the worst, but they're not the best. I think if they could have got maybe onto Mines a little bit as well, that would have been not a bad pick for them. But they've got Himmelsdorf and Steps, which I've sort of identified as 2 of the better maps for Caren Tiger. So, they have to get off to a good start there on Himmels and Steps, I think. So maybe if they can get 3 out of the first 4 rounds. I don't think they're going to 2-0 steps. I don't think they're going to start off with a 4-0, but it's definitely possible for Caren Tiger here to start off with a 3-1. And then maybe if they can find, 1 or 2 on Ghost Town or Ruinberg and take it to the tiebreaker, which is going to be on Himmelsdorf, then there's a good potential for Caren Tiger to pick up a 5-4 victory. And we know when they get to the tiebreakers, they have a very good conversion rate. I think there's something like 5 out of 6 or something, but the problem in that situation as well is that the one time they've lost the tiebreaker, guess who it was against?
Meltdown?
Yeah.
Hey!
5-4 to Meltdown the first time these two teams played. So even if they can somehow manage to get it through to that tiebreaker, I think Caren Tiger's still going to have a bit of difficulty. So we'll have to see how it turns out.
Speaking of Caren Tiger, let's have a quick squiz at their current lineup and who they'll be rolling with today. Some of the players that really stand out to me. It's got to be Opalesk as well as Mudame.
Yeah, Mordame, we've seen him play a lot for Caren Tiger here. He's one of those guys that he can have an amazing game or he can have a really terrible game where he flips his tank or drives off a cliff. So he's kind of a bit of a hot and cold one.
He's a mixed bag.
Yeah, exactly. I think Shinozaka, for me, is one of those players for Caren Tiger. We always tend to see him alive at the end, down towards those clutch situations, and a lot of the time he's able to put a good foot forward in those clutch situations. Not always able to pull them off, but definitely he puts his best foot forward. And Decremorian, Sunny, and Akio V, I think, as well, are two of the very consistent players there on Caren Tiger that I'd look to really here step up today and pull potentially Caren Tiger through here against Meltdown.
I definitely agree with you on that. They have a very strong roster here, and all their players can boast serious stats when they need to be. But of course, on the other side of the table, Meltdown, they're no slouches either. These guys can rock some serious tanks. God SP especially, as well as your boy Pang Pang. He's constantly in those small little light tanks, getting the scouting out, and an absolute pleasure to watch.
You say your boy Pang Pang, but for me, my boy is Vicetone. We spoke about him yesterday. He had some fantastic performances against Dark Wolves for Meltdown. Obviously, he's the sort of the resident bat chat expert, I suppose, of the APAC region. Yesterday, I think out of what the rounds that we saw coming out for Meltdown, he would have been probably the top damage in half or even more than that for Meltdown. So certainly he puts himself into positions to do the damage, and well, in that bat chat or in the bat chat 25 TAP or the TVP, they seem to be his tanks. He's always there, he's always dealing the damage, and that's what he needs to be doing in those tanks.
Look, Vicetone, I think he might have my favorite name in all these tanks player. Vicetone just sounds like such a powerful tanking name. Like, it's Vicetone. He's coming in. He's ready to shred.
Well, I mean, I guess, if you want to go with that, but you could say the same thing about Pang Pang.
Pang Pang.
He's ready to go. I don't know. But to be honest, yeah, look, I think Meltdown, across the board, they have a very strong lineup. But similar to that, Caren Tiger have got a very strong lineup as well. So for me, either of these teams could show up tonight, and either of them could pull off the victory. But just because of the general past performances, I'm still leaning towards Meltdown. Look,
it's a tough game to call, and I don't envy you and Alex having to do that week by week, looking at both two strong teams going up against each other and really having to get down to the nitty-gritty, and looking at you guys both 4-3, 4-5, 5-4 apiece, so very close predictions.
Yeah, well, actually, Alex predicted 5-4 for Caren Tiger. I predicted 5-3 for Meltdown. So, we, again, have a differing opinion. So again, it just goes to show how close these two teams are.
There's only one way to find out, and it's getting into the first game of the series. Here we'll be looking at the tank lineups first, as per usual.
Yeah, Caren Tiger picking up the FV4005. I like to see that. They do play that quite well. Meltdown, on the other hand, they haven't gone for anything too crazy out there. I mean, the IS-3, the Tier 8 heavy tank here is a little bit different, but again, it makes sense on Himmelsdorf. And the FV215Bs, they are obviously a mainstay on a lot of maps here, and they definitely don't go awry on Himmelsdorf either. Still, I feel like Caren Tiger, they have the advantage here on Himmelsdorf. They're a little bit better on it than Meltdown are. Well, they're quite a lot better on it than Meltdown are. So I think Caren Tiger, they really need to get off to a 2-0 start here, and I'm hoping they're going to be able to do that. I think they will be able to do it as well. I'm going to go 2-0 on Himmelsdorf in the favor of Caren Tiger.
It's a fair call to make, and they've shown time and time again why they're such a good squad on this Himmelsdorf map, as opposed to Meltdown, who have struggled with it in the past here. So they just have to kind of utilize those past performances and really channel their inner coalition zoo and go on that defensive.
Yeah, it's kind of weird still, I mean, to see Meltdown actually picking, well, not picking here, but allowing Himmelsdorf to get through. It is their most vetoed map. That and Prokhorovka, they've both vetoed 5 times each. yeah, like, to let it through here against Caren Tiger is surprising. We'll see how it works out for them, but Caren Tiger, they'll be pretty pleased that they've been able to get onto one of their best maps up against Meltdown, who, considering it's one of their worst maps, have put themselves in a bit of a difficult position here.
Well, Opulus might be leading the Caren Tiger charge right now, as we can see with our beautiful God vision here that all 7 members are ready and waiting up on top of the castle, looking to make their way down to that 2-cap. Udame and Akivu in tow as well, so now that they've all regrouped, Shinozaka off to the left. We'll just be scouting out, ensuring that no one is in our...
I like that hill push. I really like the hill push when...
We've seen it work.
Yeah, especially when there's a FE4005 on the field for the attacking side. If you could get him into sort of the B0 line, or the... to a lesser extent, the A0 line, depending on which way you want to push, but the B0 line certainly is a very difficult position for the defending team to work around when that FE4005 is just sniping down that angle.
This game is beautiful sometimes. It really is. Breathtaking, even. Until they start blowing each other to smithereens, then it's a bloody war zone, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that tends to happen a lot. So... I guess hopefully we're going to see that come out.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're all here to see, isn't it, really?
Waffen and Akiu might be crossing paths very soon on that 2-cap here. So Waffen here is in a good defensive position here, and cap has been made. Are they, like, right next to each other without trading blows here?
They are just sitting next to each other in terms of positioning, I guess, but obviously you can see the wall is between them. They can spot each other out, obviously, because of the proxy spotting. Within 50 meters of each other, they will be able to spot each other out. So they do know, well, Waffen 4 knows that Akiov is there, and Akiov knows that Waffen 4 is there. So they know where their positions are, but obviously it's a little bit dangerous here for Waffen 4 to peek this and try and get the reset, because he doesn't know what's sitting up in that A0 line waiting for him. So eventually he is probably going to have to go for that reset, or someone is, and it looks like he's going to try and reverse side scrape here, which is not so bad with the IS-3 because of that pike nose front. Makes it hard at times to go for a normal sort of a side scrape. If anyone's interested in that, you can look it up. It's a bit of a interesting... it's really weird. Like, it doesn't make much sense, but when you really read about it, it does make sense. But, I mean, in a tier 8 tank, it's not very easy to go for a bit of a side scrape up against the AMX50Bs there anyway. So, you know... Trying to get the reset here in the IS-3 for Waffen 4, yeah, it's not very easy for him.
Look, his suspicions were answered, but unfortunately, with that came about half his health pool being depleted immediately. Dekamori Sane just laser focused right now, 0 in on that position. Obelisk and Aviut also just hanging around. Does have Yupa.
I really like the setup here for Caren Tiger. Like, there's no easy way for Meltdown to get in here and get that reset, because anyone that tries to get that reset is going to be absolutely slammed by those AMX50Bs.
A big flank, though, coming from Meltdown up around that castle.
Exactly, and this is really where Meltdown has to win it. They have to win this push up on the castle, and the trouble is, Mordame is up in that position. Looks like he's probably not going to get all that much damage across. I think he might have already fired his shell and hasn't dealt that much damage in reality, so that's a little disappointing there for Caren Tiger, but he's going to back out here and try and get the reload. And again, now that Meltdown are up in that position, they can't really peek down again because the AMX50Bs are in position to just absolutely slaughter them. Caren Tiger are just putting so much pressure on Meltdown here at the moment. But in saying that, they have been completely stuck up into this northeastern side of the map. They can't move out of this position. Meltdown have got them trapped, and now it's really Meltdown's game. They can decide how they want to fight this one.
Yeah, Shinozaka took a ton of damage here in the IS-4 and IS-3, just trading blows right now, Waffen. He's quite low in that health pool, so doesn't really want to take more than he's entitled to. Polly doing a great job of just watching down that B line, making sure that no one can really mess with him. Got SP just trading blows back and forward, neither connecting though, so Caren Tiger, they do have the lower health pool right now, and they have been kind of shoved into their position. Shinozaka goes down, a nice shot from Panth, secures that one. Akiu is able to trade onto Waffen, but Panth gets himself another one onto Modame, but now Dunkion is in a little bit of trouble as Dekamori Sensei, Polly and Yupa just making their way through.
Yeah, it's well, it's not looking too great, and actually I think that was an ammo rack, but Dunkion was very low on HP regardless, so not too exciting really, all things considered. It's looking very good so far for Meltdown here, to be honest, and I honestly thought that Caren Tiger was going to come into this one and look very good on Himmelsdorf, but it's not been the case here. They've just been forced into really such a small position on the map. They weren't able to make the moves that they wanted to. The FV4005 hasn't worked out at all for Caren Tiger, and Meltdown have just steamrolled across them.
Yeah, it was looking good at the start, but unfortunately they just kind of waited too long. That flank that came through took Shinozaka down to about 50 HP, and from then on it was pretty much Meltdown's game. From there on out, they could dictate the pace of how they wanted to play. Obelisk still alive, but his days are numbered. I don't think he's even had days at that stage. His seconds were numbered.
Well, there you go. Meltdown picking it up. That's a little surprising to me. Their defense on Himmelsdorf of late, throughout our season, has been really bad. That's actually the second time they've won it overall. So,
wow.
I mean,
that's saying something.
Yeah, exactly. They're off to a good start. That's fair to say. And to make it look so convincing there against Caren Tiger as well, on their least favorite map, their most difficult map to play for Meltdown, it's a really good sign, and a really bad sign there for Caren Tiger as well. So second half, Meltdown moves over to the attacking side, which is generally speaking a little better for them on Himmelsdorf. If we see a 2-0 come out here, then a 5-0 I think could be on the cards.
Really? That's a bold prediction to make.
Well,
I guess when they've lost a lot of confidence going onto one of their best maps here, especially against Meltdown's worst, then yeah, it seems possible, right?
It's possible, but I mean, it is of course very early to call it. I don't think it's likely, but there's definitely potential for it there for Meltdown. So still a bit of work to do here for Caren Tiger to get back into this one, I think.
Oh, we can have a look at what went wrong for poor Caren Tiger there, and it all started with that big flank on Shinozaka, but that is old news because we get to see the push coming through where Caren Tigers, it looked like it was going quite well for them. They had 3 of their tanks in tow, and glorious explosion does get ammo rack there, and in that scenario it didn't matter.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a big deal really, to be honest. He was going to go down anyway, but for Caren Tiger across the board, like, there was just a lot of things that weren't quite clicking for them. That push up onto the hill from Meltdown was fantastic. It really needed to be punished more by the FV4005, and he wasn't able to do it. I think when we see the damage stats coming out after this one, it's going to be hard to justify that at 4005 pick. And then across the board, it's just Caren Tiger split up. Meltdown played together as a unit, were able to chase them down with their numbers advantage, and it turned out like this.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Caren Tigers, they weren't able to pull off the attack that they needed to do. Meltdown were able to defend quite well. We're going to have a look at some of the statistics from that game to see where they all stacked up. And Panth, he got a few kill credits here as well, but he did the damage to back it up.
Yep, AMX50B's up the top. We always expect to see that, and Parthen really leading the charge there for Meltdown. Batchat chiming in there on Pang Pang as well. That's that's good to see. The Batchats for me on Himmelsdorf, maybe not quite ideal, but Meltdown have definitely made them work. And I guess when you got Vice Tone on your team, you might as well pick a Batchat, and Pang Pang clearly as well doing a good job in that one. So good stuff across the board for Meltdown. I want to look and see where that 4005 ended up, because I reckon he probably got, I don't know, maybe 500 damage tops coming out. I think maybe 2 shots off, so maybe something like 700. Perhaps, but in reality, it wasn't a good situation for him as well. There you go, 725, 2 shots. Neither of them were penetrating.
Yep,
so
damn shame.
Less than ideal. That's definitely not what you want to see coming out from the 4005.
Well, let's hope Caren Tigers can pull it together for the next game here, because like you said, if they go down this convincingly on Himmelsdorf, it's going to spell nothing but disaster coming into the rest of the maps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Steps, I think they have potential to pull off 1 round on the defensive side of that one, but certainly if they don't get that even, we'd be at a 4-0. But again, conjecture. We're only 1 round in, really. It's very hard to draw conclusions just from seeing one single round where Caren Tiger, maybe they just made a mistake, had a bit of an off round, come back into this one, absolutely smash Meltdown on the second half of Himmelsdorf, and then pick up another one on Steps, and suddenly we're at 2-1 or something like that. So
I have to wait and see, because Meltdown, they look quite good though, and there's a reason that they're second on the leaderboard right now, and it is because even when they're playing on some of their worst maps, they are able to pull it through and take a win.
Well, their worst map, essentially, Himmelsdorf, has still got like a 38% win rate on it, so overall it's not too bad.
Bump it up a little bit more now.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, we're going to be seeing the 4005 coming out here from Caren Tiger, so we'll see if More Dame is going to have a bit better of a go at it this time here. There is a couple of low armored tanks there for Meltdown. The Batchats again going to be prime suspects for that 4005, but he wasn't able to get it done last time, so it's still questionable for me. But, I mean, across the board, both lineups seem pretty decent, seem relatively strong here on Himmelsdorf. Again, I like the IS-3 coming out for Meltdown.
Caren Tigers maybe banking a little bit too hard on some of these bad ideologies here, so have to see if they can prove us wrong and make it work. But look how fast they're straight out of the gate here, just going so hard along these train tracks, only sending one member to watch the castle flank.
I mean, I think it's not so bad considering they have Opalisk up towards that 2 flag, and if he spots anyone out, they can start to rotate a little bit earlier. But if they didn't have anyone spotting up in that direction, then of course things would be a little difficult. And this actually might work out for, well, either of them. Depends on who catches who off guard first. And, well, Caren Tiger, they have the numbers advantage. God SP needs to get down here very quickly because these 4 Meltdown tanks are going to be under a lot of pressure. And it's only 3 tier 10s and the tier 8 as well. So, in theory, Caren Tiger should definitely be winning this battle here. If they know that there's no one there and they push in and they actually take this fight, they should be able to pull it off.
Dukion takes 2 shots here, only 1 for Akyuv, so they are in a good position now. You can see Opalisk, he's made his way all the way from the top, but that means it's a 7 versus 2.
If those 2 tanks get onto the 2 flag, even if the fight down here towards the bottom goes poorly for Meltdown, there's going to be so much pressure on Caren Tiger. So
they create that beelining straight forward.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Pang Pang looks like he's going to rejoin the team here. Vicetone might be sitting up towards that 2 cap, but it's interesting. The decisions that are going to come out here for Meltdown are so important.
Well, they must know now. Waffen spotted like 5 or 6 tanks just in his field of view, so he's going to know exactly where they all are. But Pang Pang and Vicetone are actually completely disregarding the cap and going straight for the fight.
They need to get to this fight quickly now because, you know, they're not going to get any pressure from that cap. They've decided they need to get to that fight, and they really need to get in there.
Tough calls to make.
Exactly, it is a tough call to make, but they need to make an impact here, and they're going to be able to come down behind Mordame potentially. Looks like he's getting into a little bit of a cutout, but I don't think he's going to survive too long here against both of those Batchats. They'll know exactly where he is, and best case scenario is he can one-shot one of them. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Pang Pang takes him down, so Mordame again having a disappointing performance in that FV4005, but across the board, this is not looking so bad for Caren Tiger.
Oh, Valiant, he's in a bit of a bad position now, completely getting cornered, but here comes the cavalry. Pang Pang and Vicetone coming in hot, firing at will. Vicetone is able to get one before getting taken quite low. Panth did go down on the back of that one, so it's a 3 versus 2 right now, but Vicetone and Pang, they are quite high health pooled. Vicetone takes one in the back. Pang Pang can't seem to find the connection onto Akyuv, and Caren Tigers have just split up right now.
Vicetone's played this a little bit better. He's actually going to be able to get out of there alive, but Pang Pang is not going to be able to survive here. The AMX-50B there of Yupa should be coming off the reload relatively shortly, and he's going to be rammed
he just gets wedged
and tracked as well by Akyuv with that ram, and Pang Pang knows he's got nothing left in this one. So it's down to Vicetone here. Mr. Batchat, as we like to call him, but I think this one is going to be a little bit beyond him. Akyuv, sure, he's a one-shot, but to deal with Yupa, it's going to take him a lot of shots here, so Vicetone's going to really have to pull this one off, and you know, he's just not able to land the shots that he needs here.
Just like that, Caren Tigers, they come back strong, so they weren't going to let one little hiccup dictate the pace of this entire series here, so unless Vicetone can do the miracle, but not something very common in World of Tanks, is a classic 1v3. So
not at this deficit either.
No.
2,437 damage here for Vicetone even to really have to put across. It's almost impossible. Like, yes, in theory he has the time to deal the damage, but there's almost no chance that Caren Tiger is going to let him do that.
No, not going to let him catch off anyone. Opalus coming around to his flank, so he's going to get shot in the back soon. He is watching out, so he's aware it's coming. The RU-251 hits him for about 200. There's Akyuv waiting for him around the bend, so Caren Tigers answer fast and strong.
Yep, exactly. And like I said, I mean, it could go either way. And that time, it goes the way of Caren Tiger. They pull it off. They're able to bring it back there on Himmelsdorf. So they don't get the 2-0 that they probably would have wanted, but at least they're able to scrounge something together there on Himmelsdorf. And, you know, a 1-1 overall, I still think that favors Meltdown a little bit because it's a little bit better of a map for Caren Tiger. It was also Caren Tiger's pick, so they would have been hoping to get a little bit more out of that one. Still, it's not the worst result, and I guess we can go into the next map with a clean slate.
That's exactly right. So we weren't expecting too much coming out of Meltdown in that first game, but they were able to kind of steal away one round, so it's still a good scenario for them, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to get one round there for Meltdown on Caren Tiger's map pick, you can't complain about that.
Look, and we saw an absolute bloodbath at the start of that game in a position of the map we're not used to seeing these teams fight over, so very interesting stuff coming out from Caren Tiger.
Yeah, look, Meltdown, they definitely weren't expecting Caren Tiger to be in that position, so Perhaps this was something Caren Tiger might have identified from Meltdown, that Meltdown liked to push in towards that railway early on, and they tried to, catch them off guard. Unfortunately, for Meltdown, they were not prepared for it, and I mean, they took down Mordame, another one of those. The 4005, again, a high damage threat really for Caren Tiger, but it just wasn't enough in the end.
Yeah, they just pretty much got hunted down player by player, and Viceturn and Pang Pang in the batch house just weren't fast enough, and we saw in the end they tried to get in to save the team, but by then all their bigger tanks were taken down.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the problem. It was that the batch hats weren't in that fight initially, and in this time where this entire fight could have been going on, the batch hats would have got a entire clip off. They would have been coming off the reload around about now, but they've only managed to actually get their first couple of shots off at this point in the game, whereas they should have already had 1,000 damage, 1,500 damage coming out already. So there's where the damage is lacking for Meltdown, and you can see it worked out very well for Caren Tiger. They found the fight that they wanted, and they took it, and they won it.
You can see Viceturn, last man left standing here, trying his darndest to survive for the team. Takes a shot from Obelisk in the back, turns the corner. There's Aku waiting for him. He just gets blown to smithereens, nothing but rust.
Exactly. So after a 1-1 there, I'm pretty sure Meltdown will be pretty pleased about that one. Caren Tiger,
definitely.
a little disappointed. But, I mean, before we get into the next map, we'll first have to have a look at the damage stats coming out there. And, again, we're going to be seeing the 4005 missing on that top 7, which is a little disappointing. But across the board, things look pretty good for Caren Tiger. They get the 2 113s up the top there. So, great stuff from AkiOV with 3,700 damage dealt.
That's exactly right, and no Viceturn or Pang Pang on there either, so these guys good in their batch shots, just not able to be in the fight for long enough to really make an impact. So in that scenario, do you think it would have been more wise to go for the cheeky cap? Or is that just not an option?
Like, it's really a roll of the dice, right?
Yeah.
To go for that cap. Like, Caren Tiger could have very easily sent Obelisk up there in the RU-251. He would have skidded all the way up there very quickly. He would have got an easy reset across. Yeah, he probably could have been 2v1 by the bat chats, but the cap pressure that he would have been able to relieve with just a single shot would have probably been enough for Caren Tiger there to clean up Meltdown.
Fair enough.
I think in the end, Viceturn and Pang Pang made the correct decision to come into that fight and try and turn things around, just because I don't think they would have been able to pull off a cap. But, we'll never know, I guess, really.
That's true. Going into the next game here, like we said, Meltdown, they're probably happy to be taking a win away on a Himmelsdorf, considering their past performances on it. So going into Steps, they might have a little bit more luck.
Well,
more confidence.
Potentially. Look, I mean, Steps is a very good map for Meltdown. We'll get that out of the way. They've actually only lost on it once throughout their entire season so far. And they played it 9 times, so very good stuff from them. On the flip side, Caren Tiger, they're kind of a bit hot and cold on it. Like they very much enjoy playing on the defensive side, not so much on the attack here. So it really comes down to whether or not Caren Tiger can show up on the defensive side here and pick up a win on that.
We'll answer those questions right away, as we do have the tank lineups ready to see what these guys will be pulling out on their defensive on the side of Caren Tigers. A lot of bash shots.
Wow, and an M4043 coming out there as well for Meltdown. The T110E5s to Caren Tiger. Worrisome, I suppose. Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to seeing this M4043. I'll give you that much.
Sure. Could be interesting, and great picks coming out of both teams here, so we'll have to see how well they can utilize them. A lot of bat shots on the side of Caren Tigers, and in the right hands, the deadliest tank alive.
Exactly, but in saying that, they have sort of their one true counter in the M4043, which can just one shot, take them off the field with a single shot.
Dissect them from
the heavens, from the skies above. That M4043 could come up huge here for Meltdown, but we'll have to see how this one rolls out for Meltdown and Caren Tiger here on Steps. I hope to see a one-shot. I haven't actually seen, I don't think, an M4043 one-shotting a bat chat in APAC so far.
Well, today might be your lucky day.
Might be your lucky day too.
Hey, I'm hoping for it. See, Meltdown rolling out over to that one cap. Pang Pang just hooning on through, getting the scouting down, and looks like Obelisk will be the only one to be on the defensive. As the rest of Caren Tigers, they've kind of dug in deep around the 2 cap.
Yep, pretty standard setup coming out from Caren Tiger. We generally speaking see a lot of teams hold over towards that 2 flag. It's just a little bit safer early on. But it's going to come down to, once Meltdown starts spotting out some Caren Tiger players, what Dukyun can do in that artillery piece. And if he can get a lot of damage across to anyone, then it's going to be great for Meltdown. But looks like Caren Tiger are just trying to take this one to Meltdown, and I don't mind this decision. Getting that rotate early across, they might be able to catch off that artillery early in the piece and really take that threat away from Meltdown.
Plays in the balls in Caren Tiger's court right now, so they really have to be proactive because the longer that M43 is alive, it could spell. That's just another chance at one shot in the bat chat.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it is sort of luck based, I suppose, for Dukion here if the shot lands where he points it. But you know, there's always that possibility in the back of Caren Tiger's mind that okay, well, I could get taken out full to 0 here, which would be obviously less than ideal. And I mean, the more time, you say exactly, the more time Dukion is alive, the more chances he has to hit. And obviously, it's not going to be great for Caren Tiger.
We'll have to see if he can go for some cheeky shots here across the map and really make it count, because it's a bold pick, and see if Caren Tigers can make their highly mobile composition work.
Going to have to. They have a bit of control down towards the southern part of the map, so they are starting to, you know, really piece together this puzzle as to what Meltdown is doing here. But Meltdown, of course, have got positions up in towards that one flag, which is where they want to be. Often 4 is going to be able to spot out Opalisk shortly. Valiant's moved quite far forward as well. And, well, Opalisk is under a lot of pressure. He's going to be taken down straight away. Did not expect, I think, to get spotted out in that bush, but in the end, he did. And Caren Tiger suffer a loss.
It's going to be quite bad for them. They've lost their scouting tank here, so... Well, a scouting player, rather.
Oh, Vicetone and Akio V are going to meet each other as well. Vicetone, we know he's the bat chat guy, so he's, you know, he knows the situation he's in. He's going to try and get out of there alive. Falls back a little bit, and he's going to allow Akio V to push into his team, but it seems like Akio V has got this bait working out well. Vicetone, look at all of these Caren Tiger players coming in his direction. He is going to be taken down, and, well, we're back to a 6 versus 6.
How do you beat the bat chat player himself? Just bring 4 of them to a party and can't kill them all. So, Akivu. Akio-V. Oh,
difficult one to pronounce.
Yeah, Akio-V.
Although you could go with Akiuv.
Akiuv?
I'm not quite sure. Maybe if he's here at finals, I'll ask.
Well, if you do, let me know.
Yeah.
And I'll tweet to him.
He actually does have a Twitter. I follow him. Anyway, overall, I think that trade actually favors Caren Tiger. Vicetone obviously a key part of the Meltdown lineup, so not good for Meltdown to be losing him so early on, but they've tried to take the fight here to Caren Tiger. They've recognized that there was a few bat chats down towards the southern end of the map, and they're going to try and take that numbers advantage early on here, and it's worked out initially for them, but now those bat chats are starting to come into play here, and Meltdown might be under a bit of pressure.
Look, it just seems like they're getting swarmed right now by tiny little mosquitoes that do sting in the end. Mudame and Shinozaki leading the charge on that one. They're trying to get their shots into God SP, Pang Pang, and Pants, so it's a 3 versus 4 right now. They really need this M43 to start connecting with some of these shots. Valiant and Waffen in the front line, taking on Mubasi and Yupa. They do get 1, so it's a 2 versus 1 right now, but God SP, he gets taken down by Shinozaki on the back of that, and Aki-Uv does take out Pants.
There you go, he got it in the end. Aki-Uv! I like it. But to be honest, this is not looking good for Meltdown. Let's say that much. Dukion in that M4043, he's really had not much of a part to play here, and this is exactly what should have happened for Caren Tiger. On the defense, they look so good, and they needed to pick up the win on the defensive steps because their attack is just a little bit weaker. Eventually, Yupa's going to go down to the M4043, but it's too little too late. In this situation, it's pretty much just Pang Pang versus 4 of Caren Tiger.
Get him, Pang Pang.
Dukion's not going to last much longer. He's got Akio-V and Shinozaki potentially heading in his direction. It looks like Akio-V is going to just be able to close him out on his own. And Pang Pang's been spotted out here by Polly as well. So overall, it should be a pretty quick cleanup here for the Caren Tiger players.
Once again, Caren Tiger really pulling out the unexpected tonight. So taking a win on steps, but you mentioned these attacking sides are quite difficult to pull off efficiently, especially both these teams here.
Well, I mean, for Meltdown, they've actually had pretty reasonable successes on the attack, but it's just the fact that Caren Tiger is so good on the defense. That obviously, that makes life really difficult. In saying that as well, I mean, Meltdown they haven't lost a sight on the defensive steps either. So again, there's another opportunity for this one to be a 1-1. I think that's probably the most likely situation coming out into this one, but I think getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, obviously you should talk a little bit about that one there for Caren Tiger. And what they did there was that they just basically nullified the effectiveness of the M4043. They took the fights early, they kept moving around in those bat chats. The M4043 wasn't able to get really any effective shots off until very late into the game, and of course it worked out quite well in the end for Caren Tiger.
Just completely nullifying the effectiveness of that tank. They were able to take out Vicertone quite early on in that 1v4 as well. We'll have a quick look at the replays to see just what went wrong for poor Meltdown. You can see Obelisk trying his best. This is where he just gets spotted out and completely taken by surprise. Hey, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, he
get me out of here!
Definitely didn't expect to get spotted there. I wonder if one of those shots was from Dookie. No, I don't think so. So, yeah, I mean, across the board, this wasn't great for Meltdown either. Vicertone was trying to bait Accio V back into his team, but he didn't know that Accio V had those teammates coming in from behind.
You can see the moment he regrets his decision.
I liked how on the camera there, right, all you saw for all that time was Accio V, and then, like, as he dies, it turns around and you just see, like, 3 guys from Caren Tiger behind him, and he's just like, oh.
Because I imagine that's exactly what Vicertone saw as well.
Yeah.
He sees the 1v1 and he's like, yeah, I got this. And then it's like, shot from the left, shot from the right, shot from the back, pans his camera around, he's like, oh, damn it.
Yep. So overall, I mean, Caren Tiger played that one very well. They got that pick onto Vicertone, which is what they needed. Dookie here, he gets a shot onto Yupa, but it was really not a very big one. It was, what, like a couple of 100 damage max?
Yeah.
And not what he wanted, to be honest. So Meltdown going down 2-1 here. Like I said, this was a possibility. And I don't think it's going to bother Meltdown all that much. They will feel like they can come back into this one.
No, definitely. They have quite a successful rep when it comes to playing defense on steps, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull out a win. And like you said, 1-1 is probably the most likely scenario we will have coming into here. And Akiuv just, along with Mudame, really making those bat chats count.
Yeah, exactly. The bat chats always tending to reign supreme here on steps. They are, of course, one of the favorite tanks on that map. And, I mean, across the board, they've looked good for both teams. T125 as well, chiming in for Mubesi there, but the M4043, you got 1,000 damage off, which I guess at the end of the day is not too bad for an artillery, a tier 8 tank, so you can't hope for too much more. Across the board, though, Vicertone will be very disappointed with how he got taken down so quickly there, and the Object 140s for Meltdown weren't particularly impressive either. 15 shots, 16 shots, and only getting 900 and 800, well, around 900 damage for both of them off. Like, it's not quite where they'd want to be sitting.
That's a fair call to make, and poor Obelisk didn't get a chance. Just completely obliterated before anything was made relevant in that game. So, of course, we will be swapping sides now to see if Meltdown can mount a equally good defense here.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot to do here for Meltdown, but of course they're going to have probably a bit of a better time here. I think on the defensive side, I'm not so sure how well it's going to go for Caren Tiger. They haven't had the best of times on the attack of steps.
Sure.
It's typically been what has let them down on steps, which overall hasn't been a bad map for them. They've got like a 50-50 win rate on attack, so it's not like they're terrible on the attack, but it's just that their steps is so good on the defense, and it's just weird to see that it's not quite as good on the attack.
We'll have to see if they can hopefully mix it up here and kind of boost that statistic even more so in their favor on the attacking side, because like you said, it is a little bit odd when you see one team excel on one part of the map and then kind of just fall off on the other, where you'd think they'd be quite versed and practiced at both.
Yeah, well, yeah, look, I mean, some teams just, they have a play style which works for them on one map, and, well, even on one half of one map, and it doesn't work out quite so well on the other half, and that seems to be the case here for, I mean, there's a few teams which have a sort of a situation like that for themselves, so, again, like, it's not entirely surprising to see it happening like that, but definitely here for Caren Tiger. If they can pull off this second half here on steps, then they're going to be very happy about that.
Well, Caren Tiger, they played a very aggressive defense as well, so I'm sure their offense is quite as aggressive, considering just how in your face they like to get with all the bat shots. So we'll have to see if he can replicate that.
Yeah, all right. Well, while we've got a bit of a downtime here coming out, we might as well go and tell you all about our giveaway that we've got going on tonight. We've had it a few times, but definitely got another one coming up here. It's 3 days of premium time as well as 200,000 credits coming out. All you have to do is message us on Twitter with the hashtag WGL APAC what your favorite tank is in World of Tanks. So 3 days of premium, 200,000 credits, not bad. All you have to do is answer that question on the Twitters with the hashtag WGL APAC. So obviously would like to pick that one up, but really I think getting back into the action here, Caren Tiger, they're going to be wanting to pick up steps.
Oh, definitely. So we're going to get into that game right away. Check out what these guys will be rolling onto steps with and see if Caren Tigers can keep that momentum going strong. And hot damn.
Yeah, artillery coming out here for Caren Tiger on the attack. So both teams even picking up the attacking artillery. Caren Tiger going for the Lorraine, which is a little bit more of a mobile sort of accurate tank as opposed to the M4043, which really is just sort of like death from above. Like if he actually hits, someone's going to die. But with Lorraine, you'll be essentially chipping away a little bit more at your opponents. But here for Meltdown, lots of 113s on the defensive side. Not going to make life easy for that Lorraine to get some big shots across. A very heavy lineup, all things considered, here on steps for those 113s for Meltdown. So that's a little interesting.
See if they can make it work, though. So.
Well, I mean, they have made steps defense work in the past, so they definitely know what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to see what they go with here, and if they can, like I said, make it work essentially, because a lot of very heavy tanks on these wide open maps, we've seen teams fall prey to it a few times. So if Meltdown knows something that these guys don't, it will get them to that next level.
I wonder if we're going to be seeing Meltdown go for a boost here on towards that 2 side of the map. It doesn't look like it. So for now, Caren Tiger are just setting up relatively safely. Opal is pretty far back there. I think Caren Tiger, they're just hoping to get a bit of damage across to start off with that artillery. Are we going to see Meltdown allow that to happen? Because they are playing, you know, like this is not generally your normal defensive setup here on steps. Typically speaking, Meltdown would be sort of spread across sort of north to south in that sort of diagonal line, all the way down from like A8 to sort of E0 or something like that. But for now, they are actually sort of moving together as a pack in towards the Caren Tiger spawn, and well, they're going to spot off Mubesi and Yupa,
who are instantly just turning tail and backing up as fast as they can here. Damage coming in onto Valiant. He gets taken about 200. He's going to come over the wall straight into a massive shot out of Yupa and Mabesi. Dukion is there to back him up. Got SP trying to get some shots off to the distance, but Akibu seems to be quite accurate. Valiant, he might be in trouble here.
Yeah, I'm not so sure what he's thinking actually peeking over that hill there. They had no information. Apart from the fact that those two 113s were pushing in that direction, they didn't know where any of those other Caren Tiger tanks are, and, well, Valiant gets completely punished for it. I mean, overall, it's not a bad trade, I guess, for Caren Tiger, because they get a lot of damage back, but to lose a tank in that situation, definitely not what they would have wanted. They're a tank down, and despite getting damage across, their damage output for the rest of this game is not going to be as high as what we can see coming out from Caren Tiger.
Yeah, that's the thing. Caren Tigers, they lose some health, but Meltdown lose firepower, which seems to be such a much more valuable resource for these guys here. So we'll have to see if Meltdown have a contingency plan for such a bold opening.
They're going to have to turn something around, but it seems like they want to continue this push here, and I think they just want to nullify the usefulness of that artillery. So they're really starting to try and take a fight early on here against Caren Tiger. They don't want to get whittled down slowly but surely throughout this entire map here. And, well, I mean, it hasn't worked out too well for them, to be honest. It feels like Meltdown are just, you know, trying too hard to get a fight.
Damage coming down onto Yuba. He's able to ding most of it. Wathan dings one of his own, but Panther, he's about to go down. 26 health left in his pool, so he might be getting taken down quite soon here. Dukion and Wathan trying their best to take on Mubasi and Yupa, but it's not looking good.
No, it's definitely not. Dukion is very low on HP, and at the moment across the board, there's quite a lot of players for Meltdown that are really looking a little bit in trouble. Yupa and Akio V going to find 1 kill apiece, and Caren Tiger from this point on, there's just no way they should be losing this on here on steps. So overall, look, I'm very surprised to see Meltdown doing something so aggressive like this on the defensive side. Like, yeah, Valiant, I mean, I guess he pushes in aggressively, and fair enough. He wanted to try and make something happen, but as soon as that tank goes down, I don't know why Meltdown are continuing this push, trying to take a fight at a disadvantaged player position. Like, being a tank down is really not where you want to be, and they continue the fight. They try to continue pushing, and I just don't understand it.
We've seen that happen quite a few times where these teams just try to brute force their way in and not respect the opposition's defensive line, and it ends up costing them in the end. So Meltdown, falling prey to that similar mindset here, are going to find themselves down 3-1 in favor of Caren Tigers.
Yeah, not where they would have wanted to find themselves. So well, now things are starting to get a little bit iffy for me here about Meltdown because we've seen some weird plays coming out. Questionable plays, I think. Yeah, exactly. So they do have a couple of good maps coming up for them, but here, Caren Tiger 3-1. That's really a good start for them.
Yeah, we thought Steps was going to be a good map coming out for them on their offense and defense rather, and they just seem to have no idea where to go with it. They just tried to constantly push this aggression, and it was not rewarded with anything. Yeah,
look, I honestly feel like from this point on, we'll probably be heading towards a tiebreaker. Like, I don't see Caren Tiger being able to close it out on Ghost Town and Ruinberg, but I do think they're good enough to get one round. Probably on Ruinberg, I would feel, is where they'd probably get that one because it tends to be a map where it goes 1-1. And in that case, obviously heading in towards Himmelsdorf as our decider. But I guess, we're still very early on in the piece here. It's potential definitely for Caren Tiger to close this one out, but it is going to be tough.
Well, we're going to have a quick look at the replays here to see exactly what happened when poor Valiance just checked over the hill here into his doom.
Yeah. I couldn't give you a reason why he decided to do that. I think he pretty quickly realized that was not the right decision to make, but he wasn't able to get back below that little bit of a ridge quick enough. And well, from there on out, Meltdown really just started to crumble.
Yeah, it's just again, it doesn't seem like Meltdown are playing up to their standard, which is why I think that Caren Tiger could potentially pull out something more than a tiebreaker win here. It's because we're assuming that Meltdown play well on these next two maps.
That's true.
It's not Caren Tigers. Caren Tigers are playing their game. They're playing quite what we're used to seeing. It's Meltdown who are really doing these questionable pushes, these just blatantly wrong strategies coming out here. So I feel like Caren Tiger, if they continue their level of play and Meltdown don't wake up, this could be over very quickly.
Yeah, there is definitely that possibility. I mean, Meltdown to me is like a bit of an enigma in a sense, where one week they can look absolutely amazing. They can 5-0 some good teams, and then the next week they'll just come out here and they'll look pretty terrible, in all honesty. Like, we saw that a few weeks ago as well towards the end of Phase 1. They were just not performing the way they should have been. So, weird stuff for Meltdown, to be honest. But, I mean, it's not over here yet in this series. Let's have a look at the damage stats for that one. But, going into the next ones, Meltdown's really going to have to come back in.
Oh, wow. Look at that Caren Tiger just racking up the damage on all things. And the Lorraine hitting quite hard there as well.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of damage coming out of that one. That's a very respectable scoreline for your Tier 8 tank. And to see a Tier 9 Bat Chat topping the scoreboard there for Meltdown, that's obviously less than ideal. You want your Tier 10 tanks to be doing the damage, and in that case, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, things just going wrong and wrong again for poor Meltdown. So hopefully they can use this little bit of downtime, this brief respite that they get to kind of rethink how they want to go about going in to the next game here in bottom 4 for Meltdown once again. So it's looking dicey.
Yep, definitely is. Ghost Town is Meltdown's other pick. Steps was actually Meltdown's pick there, so that's really not good for them to lose that. But going into their second pick of today, it is Ghost Town. It is a map which they really do enjoy playing. They play it quite a lot. They played it 11 times, 64% win rate, so, doing pretty good on it.
Sure.
They tend to favor the defense a little bit more than the offense on Ghost Town, but we know how much of a similar map it is on both sides, that it definitely can be pulled off on really either of them. Having a look at the Caren Tiger guys, I mean, they also play a fair bit of Ghost Town. They played it 10 times. Not quite to the same level, though, of Meltdown. They have like a 50% win rate on it. So overall, again, it could be pretty even here, but Meltdown, historically speaking, have got the better of it here on Ghost Town. So, yeah, look, the way that Meltdown is playing at the moment, I think this is probably going to be a 1-1.
Sure.
Like, I think Caren Tiger is just definitely good enough to be able to pull off one.
That's a fair call.
But I think Ghost Town is one that should go to Meltdown as well, so I think they'll pick up one as well.
We'll have to see if Meltdown can do it, because, like we said, they haven't been playing up to their standards that we've known about them, so hopefully they can do something to kind of rectify these mistakes here. And like you said, Ghost Town, it should be their map. They should be pulling out 2 wins here. They've picked it themselves. They know exactly what they're going into, so
yeah,
it would be a shame for them not to get it.
It is, again, I guess a little bit perplexing as to how these picks have come out here, because Ghost Town, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty decent map for Meltdown, but there's plenty of other options, really. They could have got Prokhorovka, Cliff, Ruinberg, all those maps, I feel, stronger maps for Meltdown, but not the case here.
And they decided to go to Ghost Town, and we'll have to see what else they decided to bring to Ghost Town in terms of tanks.
T57 heavies for Meltdown as well as the AMX-50B. Lots of auto-loaders on their lineup, really. Similar, though, for Caren Tiger. They've picked up a lot of auto-loaders. I think this is actually pretty much the exact same lineup that they ran yesterday against EL. I think maybe the T54 might have been a 1390 or something like that.
Sure.
But even pretty irrelevant, really. What we're looking at here, mostly for Caren Tiger, is those E100s and the AMX-50Bs. And we saw EL Gaming really just absolutely pick apart EL Gaming there yesterday. EL Gaming pick apart Caren Tiger yesterday, rather, with those AMX-50Bs. When the AMX-50Bs were on the reload, EL Gaming just took the fight, and obviously they won it. So we'll see if Meltdown is going to be good enough to recognize that again here today, if they're going to be able to, suppose, follow in the footsteps of EL Gaming. But Caren Tiger, I think they're going to have a bit of an easier time here against Meltdown than EL Gaming.
We'll have to see how well Meltdown can play this. Remember, they decided to go for Ghost Town here, but Caren Tiger's playing quite close together as a unit. We see Obelisk on the one cap already, and the rest of them just kind of protecting his middle here. Valiant does get struck quite early on, and Wathen down to about half health.
Yeah, he's in a really poor position there. Gets taken down straight away.
Wow.
Mordame picks him up. That's a free pick for Caren Tiger, and that's exactly what this lineup here for Caren Tiger is intended to do. The AMX-50Bs, they have such a quick damage output that as soon as you spot a tank, you get 2 or 3 of those AMX-50Bs in position to shoot it, and it's gone. There's no chance in hell that it's going to survive. Caren Tiger going to back out here, reload their tanks, and now they'll take the fight again once Meltdown tries to push into them once they've got that reload off. And, well, you know, Caren Tiger so far playing this one to perfection.
I can just imagine everyone on Caren Tiger, they get the pick and they're like, all right, we're going to rotate somewhere else. And Youpa's like, hey, I just got him, man. I don't want to go anywhere else. Let me, I'll meet you there. He's still slowly just moving up, but he is in that E100, so his job is just to absorb damage at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. And his job also is to be the one that's firing while those AMX-50Bs are on the reload as well, so that at least Caren Tiger have some semblance of damage output when all those AMX-50Bs are on the reload. But for now, Caren Tiger not really having too many difficulties here up against Meltdown, although in saying that, Polly's taken a fair chunk of damage and hasn't really managed to deal any in return.
Yeah, they're kind of just splitting the forces of Meltdown
Look
right
at this,
here.
though.
They know where Pang Pang is. He's in trouble, and now Parthen, he's just going to get completely destroyed. One more shot should do it. He goes down to Akiuv. See ya, mate.
See ya, mate. Exactly. And, well, Pang Pang, he's going to be the next option here for Caren Tiger. And they're just playing this one how they should be. Although, in saying that, Meltdown is able to trade a couple back. Although, it is Obelisk, the tier 8 tank here for Caren Tiger. They're not going to be too disappointed losing him. Polly does go down, but again, Polly's already got off a couple of shots, so they'll be happy with how this is going so far.
Yupa's
4
still
versus
kicking.
5. And yes, Yupa is still kicking in that E100. Slowly but surely, he's getting involved in the fight. And really here for Meltdown, like Vicetone's probably going to have to come up pretty big. He'll have to flank around the back, maybe take out Dekamori Sane, but Dekamori Sane is on full HP, so it's not going to be an easy task. Maybe he can pop a couple of shots into Yupa here, who's looking a little bit worse for wear. I don't know. But across the board, it looks like Caren Tiger just have the HP to play with here. And even if it looks like Meltdown is doing a lot of damage to Caren Tiger, obviously Caren Tiger is doing a lot in response. And there's another tank going down. Mordame picks up God SP. 3 versus 5 now. Almost no hope for Meltdown to pull this one off.
Vicetone can't seem to find his way into the back line right now as Yupa trying to get himself back into the front, but he's just so damn slow, and Caren Tigers don't look like they want to wait around forever for Yupa to get in there. Akiuv does get the kill onto Valen. He goes down, and now Dunkion, no chance. So Vicetone, the only one left alive, and he just has to book it out of there.
Oh, he does indeed. I feel at times Vicetone doesn't get involved into the fights enough. We always see him alive as the last one, right?
He's got that carry mentality where he wants to be the one doing the damage, but not taking any damage.
Exactly. And at times, you know, it feels like maybe if he had gone in earlier and taken a bit of damage, maybe not in this situation where things are very much in the favor of Caren Tiger, but certainly across the board, he seems to play to get those late game sort of, you know, clutch situations. And I think if he gets into the fights a little bit more and gets the damage across when it's actually impactful, that could be good for Meltdown.
Well, earlier on today, we're talking about that exact scenario where Taki, he just comes blitzing through the side of the map to get in there, actually on Ghost Town as well, to help his team out. So if Vicetone maybe took a leaf out of his book, he might be able to help out a bit more. But another win over to Caren Tigers here, so they're playing very, very strong.
Yeah, definitely. 4-1 now, and this is not a position I thought they would find themselves in at all.
Bizarre.
It is very bizarre, to be honest. And Meltdown, again, yeah, look, it's not a great performance from them coming out today. It just seems like they're not on their game, and Caren Tiger is just taking advantage of it, ripping them apart there. Like, that was very convincing there on Ghost Town. This is really tough times now for Meltdown. Like I said, I thought it could be a 1-1 on Ghost Town, but gee, I don't know about this now.
Yeah, we're in a very early match point here as we head into the replays to take a look at that game and just give us a little bit of a insight onto what exactly happened.
Yeah, look, I mean, early on, Caren Tiger just put that pressure on with that cap. Waffen 4 tried to get a bit of map positioning, but he runs into, what, 3 AMX-50Bs, 2 of them, Giacomo Sane and Mordame were doing the majority of the work there, but it wasn't a good situation for him regardless. And then here was another good play from Caren Tiger. They caught Parthen off guard. They also managed to deal a lot of damage over to Pang Pang. I mean, a couple of their tanks got caught off as well, but they already had the tank advantage, so they were able to trade 2 for 2, and it still favored them.
Yeah, it's just not looking good for Meltdown. I just think they're playing not even 1 notch, maybe 2 below their potential here. So hopefully they can kind of recuperate what's going wrong and bring it back for the next game. But it's just not looking like it right now. Caren Tiger seem to have their number.
Yep, definitely it is. Definitely is looking like that. And Caren Tiger, even if they lose here on Ghost Town, I think they should be able to get at least 1/2 of that Ruinberg map. So,
yeah.
Look, I'm a little bit worried now for Meltdown. I think this is going to be going in Caren Tiger's favor, just from what we've seen so far. They're just looking so much better. And yeah, it just goes to show again how close this season is so far. Meltdown are pretty far ahead of most of the teams in terms of how many points they're sitting on the ladder. But, you know, Caren Tiger sitting, what, number 5, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
They're definitely looking like they can take it to the number 2.
Let's have a look at the post-battle. Kind of deduct the damage dealt from some of the players here. And Meltdown, despite having 2 of the top damage dealers, I bet the other 5 maybe not so much.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the thing, right? This only tells half the story.
Yeah.
And even this half of the story is not that great, right? There's like, what, 6,500 damage coming out from those 2 there for Meltdown, but add up all those numbers for the remaining Caren Tiger and you're well over 10,000 even. So, yeah, look, across the board, Caren Tiger, it was a very team-oriented performance. They were all really chiming in there. Opalus, tier 8 tank, can't really complain about that. Polly got a couple of shots off before going down, but he was one of the ones that got popped very early on. And I mean, unsurprising to see Waffen 4 there on the IS-3 with only 385 damage done because he got taken down super quick as well.
He's got deleted.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, overall, Caren Tiger are sitting pretty good into this next one here on Ghost Town. And Caren Tiger, they do play a little bit better on the defensive side of Ghost Town as well.
Sure.
So that's a little bit of a worry here for Meltdown, who similarly, they're not quite as strong on the attack. So that last half was really Meltdown's one to win. And now going on to this one here for Caren Tiger, they should be able to pick it up, statistically speaking.
Yeah, they're in a rough spot. I'm really trying to rack my brain on what they could potentially do to come out of this deficit. But when you're down 4-1 and already you're not playing up to your standards, morale in the camp is definitely probably an all-time low here. So hopefully these guys can revitalize themselves. The shot caller can kind of get everyone back together, say, hey guys, come on, we've got 1 more game to play, or potentially 1 more, but we still got it's not impossible. They can come back.
Yeah. And again, a similar lineup coming out for Caren Tiger. This time on the defense, opting for a bat chat instead of one of those extra AMX-50Bs. So a little bit more mobility on the lineup here for Caren Tiger on the defense, just to try and get maybe some flanks going on. But for Meltdown on the attack, they've gone for a pretty different lineup. No T-57 heavies coming out this time. The FE-215Bs always tend to be a mainstay here on Ghost Town, and we're going to have to hope that they come up pretty big here for Meltdown, who are really with their backs against the wall now.
Yeah, Meltdown, they're in a bad way. We'll see if Caren Tigers can continue to exploit that, because that's essentially what they've been doing all series long, is understanding that Meltdown aren't playing up to standard and just forcing the fights early on.
Alrighty, well, let's have a look at where Meltdown's going to decide to go here. And they are sort of favouring that southern side of the map for the moment. Caren Tiger are content just to sit in the town. And it looks like it's going to be a 2-flag push, if anything, here from Meltdown, which, like I've already discussed today, it's, you know, not my favourite push. I prefer to go for that 1 flag, I think.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I thought he might actually track himself getting that much air, but didn't manage to do that. But yeah, nice to see from him.
I agree with you on that 2-flag. It is just not a viable strategy when there are so many avenues of assault.
Yeah.
So many different angles that you really can't punish the enemy team for exploiting. So like, again, I'm trying to figure out why Meltdown could be doing things, but they've just been playing wrong. So I feel like it's just the wrong strat with no real reason, part that they're not just playing up to standard.
Well, perhaps, I mean, they might
What
not
are boats doing
necessarily...
out here?
Hey? Boats?
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, not so sure. Maybe there's like lore of the map, I'm not sure. But regardless, I think, you know, maybe here for Meltdown they don't actually want to push into that 2 flag. They just want to try and get a flank here around the left side of the map, or the western side of the map, and push up in towards that 1 flag and go for a bit of a, sort of like a loop-to-loop around each other, I suppose. Caren Tiger going to be going around down that right side of the map. But for now, Meltdown not too keen to actually push into that 2 flag, which admittedly is probably a good option considering there's 2 MX-50Bs here with a very good angle right into that cap circle.
Oh, Woffin's already taken a shell to the side here, so first attack going in favor of Caren Tigers. Good on them, but once again, Meltdown, they're just kind of finding themselves in these just bland positions where there's not a lot they can do to break the mold, and it's a little bit upsetting to watch because we know these guys can achieve greatness. There's a reason they're second on the leaderboards right now, so I want to see them kind of utilize God SP and Valiant, who really haven't been doing much, and especially Visatone.
Yeah.
He's been falling flat, he's been dealing the damage, but it's when it's like a 2v5. He's just not there at the right position. Yeah,
and Parthon and Vicetone here are trying to make something happen. You can see them on the flank now. They've rotated from the west over towards the east. But again, they're not spotting much out, and they're not getting much done here. And we've already seen 3 minutes go by, and really Meltdown haven't achieved all that much so far here. They've got, I guess, got control of part of the town, but really it's not the part of the town that they want to have control of, really. They want to take control of that 2 and 1 flag area. So for now, Caren Tiger is not too bothered by what Meltdown is doing here, just playing down that timer, and Caren Tiger very happy to do that.
The beauty of being on the defensive team, the second the game starts, you're automatically winning. So you just got to kind of wait, hold out, get a mean defense going, and make your opponent come to you.
Exactly, and that's what they're doing at the moment. They're not pushing, they're not playing anything risky at all here on that defensive side. They're just waiting for Meltdown, and, you know, exactly how they need to play. So Meltdown, they really need to do something here. They need to make something happen. And at the moment, it just doesn't seem like it's on the cards at all. Like, they don't even know where Caren Tiger is holding.
So far, we've seen Opolis get some sick air. Other than that, not too much. Both these guys playing very reserved. Caren Tigers, they know they're at match point on defense. There's no reason for them to make a bold play. And Meltdown, maybe second-guessing themselves, considering that all their decisions and plays have led them to this predicament here. So
yeah,
but Caren Tigers on the move.
They definitely are. See what they decide to do. Meltdown for the moment have got Vicetone again on, you know, one side of the map. So if a fight does inevitably occur here, Caren Tiger are going to have, to an extent, a numbers advantage. Vicetone does look like he's going to be moving over there to rejoin his team, though.
You can hear shots being sent out left, right, but none of them really finding their mark here. So Pang Pang maybe going in for that 2-cap to start the pressure here. That's going to let Caren Tigers know what Meltdown are trying to accomplish, but utilizing this little mining facility as his defense.
I'm not sure how well that's going to work out for him, because Caren Tiger definitely know where he is, and there's 100 seconds left on this clock, so plenty of time for Caren Tiger to work around and figure out where they want to go to try and get those resets. Polly and Accio V trying to return to that position that they were occupying previously, but Polly's having a little bit of difficulty getting in there unscathed. So, you know, Meltdown doing a good job of denying some map control here for Caren Tiger, but
they're going in hard on Vicetone. He might be just destroyed here. Akiuv's coming around the side, and he's got no idea. Here
Vicetone,
he comes.
Yeah, he had no idea that Accio V was coming in. Vicetone, don't know if he's going to be able to get out of here alive. Vicetone should be taking another shot there, and Accio V is just going to be content to... Well, he's got one more shot, and he needs to hit that. Oh, he gets the track. He gets the track, and the track eats the shell there for Vicetone. So overall, a pretty disappointing result there for Accio V. There are times when you want to hit that track.
Oh, well,
but
he's dead.
I mean, that wasn't it. In the end, though, as you say, Shinozaka's able to close it out. So overall, Caren Tiger, you know, they get what they set out to do. They get that pick. Vicetone again going to be going down here for Meltdown early on, and that's not good considering he's one of their strong players and one of the ones that really does carry them through games. So here for Caren Tiger now, they're in the upper hand. They're very much, they're smelling the victory coming out for them.
Cut the head off the snake and the body will fall. With Visor toned down, they don't really have a majority of their damage and just playmaking ability here, so God SP takes a huge chunk of damage, and they can't afford to have their big tanks being just ridiculed like that. Donkey's taking a few as well. God SP getting lower and lower. Caren Tigers just making the plays happen. Obelisk is quite low, but he's in a safe position, just scouting out. Polly maybe a little bit too aggressive here. Goes in, can't even find the shot. Valiant is able to pick up that one. Now Yupa's in a world of hurt with 4 tanks bearing down on him. Where are Caren Tigers?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on here, but it looks like finally we're going to start to see the rotation come across from Caren Tiger. There's AMX 50Bs, Shinozaka as well, coming into the fight late, and that's fine. The guys on Meltdown had all used up their shots. They were all on the reload. Lots of free shots coming across from Caren Tiger, and they lose a couple of tanks, but again, they trade out a couple more for themselves. So overall, not a bad result, although Mordame, I'm not so sure what he's decided to do here. Driving out into that 2 flag on his own really hasn't put himself in a good position. At least he's getting some damage across to Pang Pang, but he should be going down here.
Dekamori and Shinozaki need to come on in. Opulus goes down, but he was quite low already, so not really contributing much to the fight. Mudame is able to find Pang Pang on the back of that one. Now Dukion in a world of hurt. Dekamori suddenly making his way on in with the help of Shinozaki and Aki. Oof, going to be taking him down quite easily. Path and the last one left alive in a very surprising manner. Meltdown drop 4-5 to Caren Tiger.
Yeah, I honestly did not expect this to be the case.
I don't think any of us did.
No way. So, Meltdown, well, they haven't showed up today, and Caren Tiger certainly have.
Unfortunately, Meltdown living up to their namesake here and finding themselves in a proverbial meltdown as going down 4-1, the second place team versing the 5th, I think you said Caren Tiger dropped to yesterday.
Yeah, I think so.
It's rough.
It definitely is rough. And Parthen, he's going to be taken down there. That's it. 5-1. Caren Tiger
very
pull off
convincing
the
as well.
Very, very convincing. Look, I mean, the first one there on Himmelsdorf went to Meltdown, but it's been a 5-0 since then for Caren Tiger.
Yeah, they looked impressive. They started off with a little bit of shaky. We're like, oh yeah, this is Meltdown. They're on point. There's a reason these guys are second. And then Caren Tigers, from then on out, it was just complete and utter steamroll.
There's It's really, there's a lot to take away there for Caren Tiger. Like, they are going to get so much confidence off that, taking down Meltdown, who have looked, very strong. They've only really been challenged by Wargaming to this point. I guess they got to a 5-4 against Twist, but I think that was more Meltdown just, messing around with some random tank picks and that sort of thing. But here, losing one to Caren Tiger, that's going to be really important points for Caren Tiger to get on the board there as well. And I think maybe even team efficiency is going to be dropping out of the top 4 now. Oh,
wow. So a lot of shifts coming through out of that one. So a very important game for more than just these two teams. That's what happens when we have the leaderboard structure here. And Meltdown, unfortunately, just falling victim to their own bad decision-making. And Caren Tigers, they played well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was them playing exceptional that allowed them to do it. It was more Meltdown just not playing well.
It was a bit of both. Yeah, Meltdown definitely didn't feel like their usual selves today. But similarly, Caren Tiger looked very good in that one.
Don't get me wrong. Caren Tigers played great, but they always play great. Yeah. It's that level of greatness that Meltdown usually have over their oppositions that allow them to take it away. But Caren Tigers just exploiting every single weakness that Meltdown was showing, and going to have a look at some of the replays there to see exactly how.
Yeah. It's, again, Vicetone gets caught off guard. So this is the second time in this series that he's sort of out on his own and he gets taken down. So, again, being a bit of a lone wolf, so to speak, and it hasn't worked out very well there for Meltdown and Vicetone in particular, obviously. So, something to look at there, I guess, for Meltdown, just to try and stop those picks happening early on. And, early on, losing a player like that, even though Meltdown looked like they had a good situation here, once those AMX 50Bs came into that fight, there was no chance.
Yeah, it seemed like the scales were starting to turn in favor of Meltdown, but like you mentioned, once the backup there, the Iron Cavalry had arrived for the Caren Tigers, it was just completely over.
Yeah, definitely has been a very good performance overall for Caren Tiger. I thought Mordame was going to be in a little bit more trouble here, but somehow he managed to survive. Dukion in the IFV215B, perhaps not so interested in him.
He got him in the end.
In the end, he gets him, but, Mordame...
Too little, too late.
Yeah, exactly. He got the kill onto the guy on the cap. That's what he wanted. And Parthen here, he had no chance.
Yeah, just sitting in his little bat chat, just waiting for the impending doom. Dekamori, Sana, and Co. Going to be taking that one out couldn't style on him with the ram, but they'll take the win and style on him that way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, across the board, Caren Tiger, I expect to see the AMX 50Bs probably again up towards the top of that scoreboard, which is probably a pretty easy thing to say considering half their team lineup consists of AMX 50Bs. But there you go. AMX
Oh my God!
50Bs.
How did you know?
Wow, I'm so good.
Only two of them.
Australia's #1 World of Tanks analyst right here, boys.
No, look, it was a great game coming out of Caren Tigers, really utilising their tank choice as well, and essentially just picking the right tanks for the jobs here.
Yep. I mean, well, look, Caren Tiger, they struggled with this sort of a lineup yesterday against EL Gaming, but they make it work
But who
against
hasn't
Meltdown.
struggled against
Yeah,
EL
you're
Gaming?
right. Like, exactly. It's a hard question
Yeah.
to answer, really, considering EL Game. Well, it's not a hard question to answer. It's an easy question to answer. But, like, it's hard for anyone to really get much done against EL Gaming, is where I was going with that. But
Yeah.
definitely Caren Tiger getting done what was needed here tonight.
And you can see Opalisk not doing too much, but that's his job. His job's just to chill on the hill, spot out players. Unfortunately, Vicertone on the other side, his job is to carry his team into victory. So when he's at the bottom side of that leaderboard, you know things aren't going too well. But he had some great games. He had a few games where he was top in the damage. So hats off to him once again for a great performance. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to help his team scrape over the line.
Yeah, definitely. And Caren Tiger picking up the win there. If you at home would like to win something tonight, we have got a giveaway going on as well. It's going to be 3 days of premium, 200,000 credits as well coming out. All you have to do is hit us up at #WGL APAC with your favorite tank and give us also your World of Tanks Asia username. Make sure you give us that so that we can let you get those prizes in towards your account. But of course, overall, it's been a very good day coming out here for quite a few teams. I mean, there's been 2 5-0s, a 5-1 there as well coming out for Caren Tiger, so some very convincing results coming out too.
We're just going to have a look at the schedule of what happened overall today. We saw the first game, it was Horseman finding it a little bit rough against EL Gaming, but is there much of a surprise there? And in a very close game, Darkles with a little bit of the upset here, considering they are the 8th place team, taking out Team Coalition Zoo on that Himmelsdorf, which neither of us expected. I don't think anyone expected. Then B Gaming 5-0 Team Efficiency, another one that was quite perplexing considering how well Team Efficiency had played in the past, but it just seemed to be the day of Goliaths falling to David as Meltdown also going down to Caren Tiger in a 5-1 fashion.
Yeah, definitely some surprising results coming out there, but also some relatively standard results coming out. So what I'm interested to see mostly is how the standings are going to look after this week, because I think there's going to be a lot of change up. All the teams were very close together at the start of this week, and so at the end of this week, we'll have a look and see how they have shifted a little bit.
You're not going to have to wait much longer as we do have the standings available for you guys. Up top, it's no surprise, EL Gaming and Meltdown still able to keep themselves in that number 2 position. Now B Gaming in 3rd, Caren Tigers in 4th, and like you predicted, Team Efficiency falling all the way down to 5th, so bad luck for them. Darkles actually making a step up over Coalition Zoo in 7th, and Horseman going up 1 as well into 6th.
Yeah, again, still very close at the moment. 28, 28, 27. And even Meltdown, they are catchable by both B Gaming, Caren Tiger, and Team Efficiency if things go very well for them in the last couple of weeks. So, still a lot of work to do for that 2 to 5 position. Horseman and Dark Wolves could still potentially catch some of these teams as well. So, it's all very close at the moment. Really, nothing is really, locked in apart from, I think, EL Gaming staying in that number 1 position. Yeah,
you said Meltdown, they're very catchable. If they keep playing like that, it's not going to be impossible for any of these teams to get back up and really challenge for that number 2 spot. Because like you said, EL Gaming, they're pretty secured in that number 1 spot. We don't think anyone, even if they could challenge them, could actually knock them out of there.
Yeah, I mean, even if they get knocked off number 1 position, which is so highly unlikely, there's still no way they're going to drop out of that top 4. So they're going to be pretty keen to keep that position, and of course they will be able to do that.
Alrighty guys, we've had an excellent day of World of Tanks here. So once again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to send your get well messages to Alex, and we'll see you guys next time.